Yeah. So in this session, we'll see what is the need for structure, or what exactly is structure, or why we have to go for structure. So first we'll see what exactly is structure. So I can say structure is a user-defined data type. So it is user-defined data type, which allows us to combine data of different types together. So I can create my own data type wherein I can store a different types of data. So in arrays we have seen we can store a similar type of data. For example, if I take a array of integers, so I can store only integer values in that particular array. Similarly, if I take an example of array of floating point numbers, I can store only a floating point numbers or a decimal numbers in that particular array. But whereas if I want to store, or if I want to store a different types of data in a particular data type, which is not possible or which is not allowed basically. So that's the reason we have a facility called as structure, using which I can store a different types of data, wherein I can store even an integer data, whereas I can store even a float data, and whereas I can store even a character data also. So all the basic three data types can be integrated together and can be stored in a structure. So like what, for example, I can take an example of person. So I can store his detail, a person detail, maybe his name, maybe his age, maybe his salary. So all these details can be incorporated together, and we can enter the person details. So, so we can use this structure to store a set of records, basically to store the, for example, I can say store the employee information or to store the student information. So normally the application of structure is in terms of database. So whenever we are going for database applications, so we need or we require the usage of structures in C language. In this session, we'll see about structures. So structure is a collection of elements of different type. Okay. So like arrays was a collection of elements of same type, but whereas structure is a collection of different type. So we use structure to create a user defined data type. So here is it is defined how we can create a structure. So the syntax is given: struct is a keyword followed by a space followed by a structure name. So here struct is a keyword, structure name is a same as your variable name. You can give any name which uses a rules of a variable name, followed by a flower bracket and followed by different data type members. So this indicates the type of data which you are going to include in your structure. So it can be an integer, it can be a character, or it can be a float. So in this slide we'll see how we can declare a structure variable. So in the previous slide we have seen how we can define or how we can declare a structure. So here example is given: struct followed by a structure name, that is given as person here, followed by a flower bracket. Then comes the data member declaration. So first member is character followed by a name, that is a variable name. It can take 50 characters, followed by a integer variable int, followed by CIT number. Next is a float variable salary. Okay, once that structure is defined, you can use those structure data by using a structure variable. So to define a structure variable, we use again struct keyword followed by a structure name followed by a variable name. So you can see in the example it's given as struct followed by a space followed by person followed by a space p1 comma p2. So we have created two structure variables p1 and p2. So now we'll see structure variable initialization. So as we have seen variable initialization, at the same time we have seen array initialization. Similarly, we can initialize the values to a structure variable also. So I'm taking the same previous example, struct person where we have three data members: name, CIT number, and salary. So when I'm creating a variable, so as I've created a variable for structure person, struct space person space P1. So P1 is a variable of type person. So I'm assigning the values in the same order the way I've given a structure. So the first I'm taking Ram as a name, CIT number I'm taken as 24, followed by the salary, that is 23,000. So which I've enclosed in a flower bracket. Same like how I initialize the array. The same fashion I'm initializing the structure variable. Yes, in this slide we'll see how we can access the members of a structure. So we have seen how to create a structure. We have seen how we can create a structure variable. Then we saw in the next slide how we can initialize the structure variable. Now in this slide we are going to see how we can access the members of a structure. So as we have created, considering the previous example of person in the previous slide. So if I want to access or if I want to use a particular member or if I want to store some data, so I can specify by mentioning the name of the data member using a dot operator. So you can see here the structure is given as here structure variable name dot member. So for example, here we are printing a structure variable with a data member. So I have given printf %s p1 dot name. Similarly for person salary, we are printing printf %f p1 dot salary. So the same, if I want to read the data, or I can say if I want to read the members data, I can use the same fashion by using scanf %s p1 dot name, or if I'm going for some unformatted way, I can go for gets p1 dot name. A simple example which shows how to access and initialize the structure member. So both examples is given in one particular program. So we have created a structure point using struct point followed by two members x and y, both are integer, followed by a main. Once the main is started, we are going to initialize the values for both the points, that is x and y. But here we have created two structure variables, that is point P1 and P2. So struct point P1 comma P2 is equal to 5 comma 8. So here what I'm doing is I'm reading the first point P1 using scanf. The second point I am initializing, okay, that is using initializing concept. P2 is equal to 5 comma 8. Now I'm going for reading the first point using a scanf statement, %d followed by ampersand P1 dot x ampersand P2 dot y. So first point I have read using scanf. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to print both the points. First point as I'm reading through scanf, which I'm going to print. At the same time, the second point which I have initialized, that also I'm going to print. Slide we'll see about array of structures. So in the previous example we have seen where we want to store a record, we are using a single structure variable or multiple structure variable. So if you have a need where you want to store more than one structure variable, or the need is if you want to store n number of records, so you can go for array of structures. So I can create an array of structures and I can create n number of data. So we can see the syntax, it is same as your structure. We are creating a structure with a data type or data members followed by a structure variable. So here the structure variable will be of type array. So you can see here struct followed by a structure name followed by a structure variable followed by index. So index gives me a length. So how many values are, what is the array value of your structure. So in the example as I mentioned, struct point followed by 2 points x comma y. So I have defined a point P with 10 data. So that means I am going to store 10 data in this particular structure.
Now laboratory program 13. So implement structures to read, write, compute average marks and students scoring above and below average marks for a class of n students. Now we have already seen this program wherein we computed the average of each individual student and then we ourselves decided that if it is less than 60 we will display it as below average, above 60 we will display it as above average. Now instead of that, there is another way to do this program, that is we will have to compute the individual average scored by the student and then compute the total class average. Then while displaying the details of the student, if the average score of the student is less than the class average, then we will display it as below average, or else we will display it as above average. So now here two global variables I have declared. One is average total, that is to compute the average total of the average marks scored by all the students. Then I will compute the class average. So these two variables I have declared it as global variables. Then the structure we have declared over here. So struct is a keyword, then student is the name of the structure. Then the member functions over here, char name, store the name of the student, then int m1, m2, m3 and total, that is to store the three test marks, test 1, test 2 and test 3. Then find the total marks scored by the student. Then float average I have given to compute the individual average of the student, that is each student's average marks I will have to compute. So I used float average over here for that purpose. Next int main, then int I comma n. Now I am going to declare a structure array here, so that's why to access each individual student details I need an index. So for that purpose I am declared here I. Then n is to store the number of students. So struct student yes. S is the struct student yes 100 I have given. This is a structure array I have declared over here. S is the name I have given and 100 is the size I have given. That means it can hold up to 100. It's our details of maximum 100 students. Then enter the number of students. Then whatever the number of students the user enters will be stored in variable n. Next we are going to accept the details of the student and then compute the total score of the student and average score of the individual student. So I made use of the for loop over here. Now for example, if I take n as 2, that is 2 student details I am going to store for example, then n will be 2. So I equal to 0. So 0 is less than 2, condition is true. So control will come inside the for loop. Now enter the details of student percentage d slash n comma I plus 1 I have given. So that cursor will move to the next line. Percentage d. So I plus 1 means because I is 0. So I want to indicate to the user that enter the details of student 1. So I have made it as I plus 1. So now enter the details of student 1. Next, name of the student. So that whatever name is entered by the user will be stored in s of I dot name, that is s of 0 dot name. Next, marks scored in test 1. So max marks I would define it as 50 out of 50. The user has to enter the marks. So that will be stored in s of I dot m1, that is s of 0 dot m1. Next, s of 0 dot m2. Similarly, s of 0 dot m3. Whatever marks entered will be stored. Next, I have to compute the total. That is s of I dot total equal to s of I dot m1 plus s of I dot m2 plus s of I dot m3. In this case now s of 0 dot total equal to s of 0 dot m1 plus s of 0 dot m2 plus s of 0 dot m3. So first student's total I have computed. Now I have to compute the average marks scored by that particular student. So s of 0 dot average equal to s of 0 dot total divided by 3. Like this, for n number of students, the data will be entered and I'm going to compute the individual total marks as well as the average scored by the individual student. Now I have accepted the details of all the students. I have computed the individual average marks scored by the student. Now I have to compute the average class average. What is the average score of the entire class. So for that, now I will have to compute the average total of the entire class. That is individual average. I will sum it up together. So I'll get the average total of entire class. That is the total of the average marks scored by all the students. So again I am making use of the for loop here. I equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Now average total equal to average total plus s of I dot average. For example, again n if I take 2, so obviously 2 is less, 0 is less than 2, control the condition is true, so control will come inside the for loop. Average total equal to average total plus s of I dot average, that is s of 0 dot average, that is the first student's average. I am adding it to the variable average total. Next again I is incremented by 1, I becomes 1 now, so 1 is less than 2, condition is true, so average total equal to now average total of s of s of I is now 1, so s of 1 dot average, that is the second student's average. I am going to add it to the average total. Next I is incremented by 1, since n I have taken it as 2, so condition is false, so control will come outside. Now I have found the average total of the average marks scored by both the students. So now I'll compute the class average. So class average equal to average total divided by n. So that will give me the class average. Next, I'm going to display the details of the student. So to display that, I want to display it in a proper format by specifying some headings. So that's why I've made use of this printf, that symbol over there. That is just to make the output look neat. Next, class A student details are as follows. I just given the name of the class as class A. Okay, it can be class B also. You can give any other name there. Okay, class A student details are as follows. Next, another line just to make it look neat. Then printf name slash t I have given, because name character the depends on what is the number of characters you are given for the name. That's why one slash t I have given, so that the output looks neat. Then first test, second test, third test. After that total, then average marks scored by that particular student, then remarks. In the remarks I will mention whether it is above average or below average, then slash n, then again one more line just to make it look neat. Now I have displayed the heading. Next, below that heading, the details related to those headings should be displayed. So now I have to fetch the details of each individual student and then display it accordingly. So again I am making use of the for loop here. I equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Now if s of I dot average is less than class average, here all the details what I am displaying are same, but of the individual student, but the remark depends on the average marks scored by the student. If the average marks is less than the class average, then I will have to display that in the remark as below average. If it is not the case, if the average marks scored by the student is more than the class average, then I will display it as above average. That's why I have given here if s of I dot average is less than class average. So for example, now first student, that is 0 here, that is s of 0 dot average, that is first student's average marks. If it is less than class average, if it is true, then I'll print all these details. That is first, now first is the name, that is again percentage yes, then M1, M2, M3, then the total marks scored by the student, then the average marks scored by that individual student. Then we will display below average. Else we will display all the details of the student. Along with that, we will just mention it as the remarks as above average. So that's why we have computed the class average. So now execute this program and check the output.